Welcome back, guys, to our podcast. This is like take 1,000. We have a special
Literally,
guest,
Milo.
and we are coffeeed out, so we transition to water. Stay hydrated, guys.
Unfortunately, but yes, we've had to switch to water because we've had filmed this like I don't even know how many times. But as I would always say, go grab your cup of coffee and hear us while we have our caffeinated conversation with Bree.
And Alexis.
Low key, I want to talk about friendships today. I don't know. Recently, I've been thinking about current friendships, past friendships,
Mhm.
and just thinking about it, asking myself what even happened. Like, why did it happen? Do I still want this person to be in my life? And just speaking about that person, I just want to get straight into what even went down
Mhm.
when I even met this person. You know, at the time around my
Like,
last year of middle school,
yeah.
I obviously wasn't in a good place. Milo's clearly getting comfy for this story. I was not in such a good place. I was so negative, so low, just like kind of drowning myself into all my worries and traumas. And at the time, my childhood best friend actually introduced me to this girl. And literally from that day, we were just inseparable. And we kind of bonded over the things we were going through. I guess
Mhm.
you could call it like a trauma bond because everything we went through, we would talk about it. We would kind of just sit there and like talk about our sorrows and like just be in this depressive state and
And
like bubble,
cycle.
like literally all the time. And so, excuse me, um, because I was so low in life, I was so negative. Kind of was like attracting these types of people into my life.
Mhm.
And so thinking about it now, I feel like because I was so low, I was attracting those people. And that's why we became such good friends because
Right.
we had the same thing going on.
Mhm.
Um, and over time, I felt like over the years went by, of course, you get older, you start to evolve. Your mindset starts to change. You start to, develop more of a wiser mindset. And so I wondered why she wasn't developing those senses with me. And I was like, okay, I don't think that this friendship is going to go anywhere, especially if I'm learning new things
Evolving.
and I'm
Mhm.
evolving. And she's kind of just staying behind in her circle. That's not to say, like, okay, people need to be on the same timing as me, but why sit there and drown in the things that you're going through and not wanting to look for better things?
Can you say that it was always like that throughout the whole entire friendship?
Mm, I wouldn't say no, I wouldn't say it was like that throughout the entire friendship because of course in the beginning like we were both the same
Yeah, you guys
and
had good
we had
moments. It was, yeah.
exactly, we were growing, we were best friends, but coming from two different backgrounds,
Mhm.
she obviously didn't have such a good upbringing and her household wasn't the best. It wasn't in the best situation. Um and then looking at me coming from I had a little better upbringing from her
Explain, like, what's the difference between your upbringing and her
and hers.
upbringing?
Yeah. I mean, one thing we did have in common was like not growing up with our fathers in the home, but I felt like her situation was it was more unstable.
Mhm.
Just having her mother and just being such a negative person, like her entire I wouldn't say family, but I would say majority of her immediate family and just even like siblings and stuff, they're all just so negative.
Mhm.
And now with me, obviously us having such a very positive family and coming from good fortune from my mom, even though I didn't have my father present, of course, like growing up, but I still had it, I would say, better.
You had more stability,
I would say
more so
more love,
yeah.
more just much more blessings. And knowing that she didn't, I felt like over time she was kind of being envious in a
Mhm.
way. Like, okay, why does she have this and I don't have that?
Right.
But knowing me, if you've ever been my friend, I have always given my friends kind of like a part of my life, if that makes sense. Like I'm not gonna be friends with you and I'm gonna exclude you from everything. Cause
Yeah.
I mean, we would like that one trip. We literally went to like Orlando.
Universal, yeah.
Yeah, we went to
Yeah.
Universal. And you even came, and obviously I brought her, I brought my childhood best friend. Anything I would do. We would go out to dinner. I'm gonna take you with me.
Right.
So it was very mutual, but of course, it kinda had to get ruined with the whole envious thing and wondering why her life was like this and mine was like this, but being mad at me for it,
Mhm.
which is something just so weird. But
Like,
I
why are you mad because my life is like this? And if anything, like,
yeah.
be grateful that you get to be a part of my life and,
Mhm.
be a part of the adventures that you essentially get to experience rather than being
Definitely.
envious. But, some people aren't just built like
They
that.
don't get that.
Instead of just being in the moment, they rather hate on you instead of just enjoy the
Mhm, instead of enjoying
experience.
exactly. So, yeah, it was, as I just started to evolve and be more mature, it wasn't going that way, and I eventually cut things off. But with now
Yeah.
cutting things off, I mean, obviously, I mean, I feel like you even kind of told me ahead of time, like
Mhm.
you knew at the time we were friends,
Yeah.
but you kind of were telling me, like, okay, not like watch out, but
I kind of flat out told you that you and her, it's good that you guys are friends now,
mhm,
but I feel like you eventually were not going to be friends at a certain
mhm,
point in time
right,
because once again it goes from our upbringing.
mhm,
We've always been very mature, very ahead of our time.
right,
So like you being 14, 15, yeah, you were experiencing all these things where you were, going through your boy troubles,
mhm,
trying gardening
right,
and, in your little state of depression,
mhm,
but you've always managed to kind of like snap out of it
right,
and still have people around you that were helping you.
mhm,
And I feel like that's also a reason why you guys were so different is because you had more of kind of like a village that kind of helped you see things
mhm.
clearly and be upfront with you just as I am with you
Of
all
course, all the
about a lot
time.
of things.
Yeah.
And so I saw that you guys were primarily bonding about negative
Mhm.
experiences and like boy troubles.
Just not
And
good
slowly
things.
but surely, I knew that you were going to grow out of that and
Mhm.
start to evolve.
Yeah, of course, and think
And
about
she was still going to be stuck in the same situation. And,
mhm.
you know, it sucks because you as her friend at that time, you wanted to bring her along your journey eventually to kind
Definitely.
of grow.
Mhm.
But sometimes, like, we just have to understand that
People don't wanna
this,
be along for
yeah,
that ride.
that journey that we walk on, that like, let's say the journey that you're on is not gonna be the same journey that another person is gonna wanna walk on.
Mhm,
Even if you try
exactly.
to give them a preview, like, "Hey, look, I'm doing much better, I'm growing," like, maybe they wanna stay stuck in their
Mhm.
cycle, and maybe that's something that, she wanted to kinda stay stuck in.
Which which is so crazy to me because I mean, even telling her, look at the things I'm doing, trying to motivate her. Even though all the stuff that I didn't like that she was doing to me, I was still trying to help her. I was still trying to support her, motivate her. And that's why I kind of kept going back and giving her chances because I wanted to see her progress genuinely because as a friend, I want to see my friends progress.
Mhm.
But knowing that every time I would go back, it was the same crap every single time. And I was like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah, I wanted to, like, ask you, what was a certain point where you were like, I just can't keep doing this anymore with this
Mhm.
person? Like, what was that moment that just went off for you?
Honestly, if I can remember, I believe it was my 17th birthday
Yeah.
2 years ago. Even you were surprised, like, the whole family showed up, and obviously me and her weren't talking for the longest, and all of a sudden, like, I invited her over, and you're like,
Mhm.
"What?" Like, you were so confused. Everyone
Yeah, it
was
was
so
awkward,
confused.
but
It was very awkward, and I actually for I don't know, but I started to pick up kinda like a red flag. Um, Currently, my boyfriend now, we started to talk, and at that time, we were official for what, like, about a month,
mhm.
and I kind of sensed that there was some envy towards that area.
Mhm.
And I just knew, I mean, and this was literally my last straw. And I knew I told myself, if there's one thing that happens now onward, like I can't keep putting myself through that. And once I saw that flag, I was like, there's no going back
So
from
she was
this.
like you thought she was kind of envious
Just
of your
envious of my
relationship?
relationship. Yeah,
Mhm.
like, want knowing that someone doesn't have that and seeing, your friend
Mm.
has it, you kind of want it. So,
Yeah.
but in a bad way.
Mm.
So I picked up on that and I was like, yeah, we're not doing that because I would never do that to you.
Right.
So,
Damn, that sucks. Especially when you were friends with this person for so long and then, at that
hmm
point you're building something new with someone
right.
and like instead of being happy for you, they're like envious, like, "Oh, I
And
want that
upset.
too."
Yeah, you can want that, but that doesn't mean you have to hate the
Yeah,
person for
exactly. Yeah.
it was a lot. And now dealing through, dealing with that, it has kind of made me cautious now what I want in a friendship.
Mhm.
And when I meet people, it's like, okay, what intention do you have? Is this genuine? So I feel like going through that, it just made me cautious of what I want in my life.
Yeah, I definitely agree with being more cautious,
hmm
especially as you're getting older because, you want relationships or relationships with friends
Yeah, of
that
course.
last, you know? And just looking back at my experience,
Yeah, share now because obviously I want to know, and I'm sure our viewers want to
girl, it's
know
kind of juicy. So,
what. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure everything is juicy, but like, why now that you're saying the things, the past friendships you've had have made you cautious? Like, what is it that happened in your past with friends?
so the last friendship that I can genuinely say was, you know, kind of like your experience with,
hmm
that person. I
hmm
was crazy because I was gonna say her name, but
Let's
um
not. Well,
the
actually, I don't really care, but yeah, continue.
the experience with that person, with my story, we were friends just like you and you and this person.
hmm
We were like this
hmm
off rip.
Right.
And it was a nice friendship. We slowly turned into best friends.
hmm
And it was a very supportive friendship where I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel like, there was envy. It was kind of
hmm
like the opposite of your friendship.
hmm
So it was a very healthy friendship at first,
hmm
but where shit went south is
And
where
it
we kind of
twisted.
crossed the line
hmm
and, that friendship turned into a relationship.
Right.
And it was good until it wasn't good. And it's
That is
tricky.
crazy.
Yeah.
Guys, have you ever heard of that?
I mean,
Of
I'm
a
pretty
friendship turning, I mean, yeah, but wow.
it's common.
Yeah.
It's common.
Well, this is the first time
Yeah.
saying
So
that, but
with that, our friendship turned into a relationship and it was good until it wasn't.
mhm.
Um we were friends for over, I want to say, like, in between a year to 2 years before, we got involved romantically.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because even when we got into a relationship, we were still friends. We did a lot of things, we
Yeah,
were present for a lot of those moments. It
of
was just
course.
like a lot of times when we were around each other, it just felt like a friendship, obviously with
No,
romantic
of course,
feelings.
yeah.
But
Did that change? Like, knowing this person while being friends, was it different now being in a relationship and having feelings for each other?
oh, absolutely. Because you go from certain things like sharing things. Like, let's say, for example, if I was talking to a person previously,
Mhm.
before being in a relationship with her, I could talk to her about it
Right.
or talk to her about certain things that was going on, with me
Mhm.
and not feel like, what, this person is going to judge me or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
It's just different. There's certain things that you can't really talk to your
Say any
significant
Yeah,
other
I
at a
get
certain
that.
point, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
not
Because you don't want them
necessarily
to feel a
hide
certain
things.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. But, at a certain point in time, our dynamic changed a
Mhm.
little bit. until it became unhealthy,
Right.
where in our relationship we actually ended up going through a very, tumultuous relationship.
Mhm.
And it went up to a point where, I was starting to evolve because I ended up landing the insurance job,
Yeah.
and I was trying to better myself because
Mhm.
when I went into the insurance job,
Well, things definitely change for sure. I mean, mindset and everything.
yeah, not at first, but
No,
eventually,
yeah.
with time, as time was progressing, because I had gone in there at my heaviest. Like, besides
Mhm.
pregnancy,
Yeah.
I was my heaviest when I first started the insurance.
Mhm.
I was so insecure. I lacked self-confidence. And I couldn't do that because I was working in an office where, people were
Yeah.
showing up to work looking good. When you look good, you feel good, you
And you
do
do good.
good.
Yep, exactly.
And when I had started working there, I ended up meeting, a current friend that I have now.
Mhm. You know, that's
Um,
which is so funny. She was literally there the day of
of
my
your birthday.
birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
That's
Yeah,
so
it was
funny.
so
It
good
kind of
because
like connects.
we were at the beginning of our friendship kind of. We had already started bonding
Yeah.
and creating that friendship.
Mhm.
So, I started the insurance job. I had met that friend that I started going to the gym with that was
Mhm.
there during your birthday.
Yeah.
And I saw myself slowly but surely like evolving. And I feel
And
like
progressing
that person wasn't evolving
with you.
with me. Same
Mhm.
thing with
And
you
at the
and
speed,
your
yeah,
friend at the time, and I don't know, man. Like when you're doing better in life, you want people to clap for you, but you also
for
want to
sure.
be there to help the other person
Definitely.
grow through,
Mhm.
experiences, and also clap throughout their journey as
Yeah.
well.
I mean, because it's never gonna be the same. I mean, your speed of healing and progressing is not gonna be someone else's speed.
Mhm.
But of course, you guys can still do it together
Mhm.
at the same time. That doesn't mean that okay, they're gonna be at the same pace. But of course, if you have good things going on and you might be picking up it faster, of course you would expect
Or
your
even
friend
just
to do the same thing.
motivate the other person. Like,
Mhm.
our friendship started over bonding
Mhm.
at the gym.
Right.
Once again, I was very insecure. I was kind of heavy. And at first, it wasn't like that. I will say it was kind of hard
Mhm.
to like approach the situation because, and, give me your feedback on this,
Mhm.
but having friendships with females is kind of difficult.
It really is.
You
I
know?
I I don't I don't know. For the longest time though, I've been feeling that having friends with girls to me is harder than a friendship with a guy just because there's so many women out there that it's always a competition.
Mhm.
It's some sort of envy or they're trying to one up you and there's just always some
Exactly.
sort of cat fight and
Yeah,
it's so
it's emotionally
ridiculous.
draining.
Mhm.
And so with that friend, like at the insurance office, I at first I didn't want her to feel like, hey, I'm like, because she was in a relationship at the time with
Right.
someone, in the office, and I didn't want her to feel like,
Any
like
type of yeah.
I have any type of intentions.
Mhm.
So, I don't know how we got to actually bond, or like how it was approached, but
Mhm.
we ended up going to the gym, which I'm very grateful for because she helped me get out of that funk at
Of
that
course.
time.
Mhm.
And slowly but surely we just started going to the gym
Mhm.
every single day together,
That's so good.
going for coffee dates and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I was rapidly evolving in that friendship
Mhm.
and evolving in other parts of my life. Like, I wanted better for myself
Of course.
mentally,
Mhm.
and once you start going to the gym and moving your body, like,
It can
you
change a
can
lot.
break free from a lot of
Mhm.
chains, like depression and shit like that. So as I started to evolve because of the things that were taking place in my life, I
Mhm.
feel like that person wasn't keeping up.
Exactly.
And it's not to say that I was so quick to leave her on the back burner,
Mhm.
but I tried
Yeah, kind of
helping.
like what I was doing.
Yeah.
Helping and keep going, not necessarily like you kept going back, but trying to help, but realizing that it was never gonna happen.
Exactly.
It was never, nothing was ever going to change. No matter what you could do, that person is not going to change on your terms. They're
Yeah.
gonna change when they want to.
And the point where it really got messy, because obviously we were, once again, we were still in a relationship around the time that I had started
Right.
at the office, where we ended up breaking things off and we still kind of maintained the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
But sure enough, I realized that it wasn't meant to work
To
out.
continue on after that. After you guys broke things off, and you kind of you started to realize that she still wasn't the person you wanted her to be. Because of course, in a relationship, you wanted her to be this way. Was it still that way in a friendship?
It's crazy because it's it's crazy because it's kind of, it's complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to say too much without saying too
No,
much,
yeah.
but within our friendship dynamic, it's weird because we were really
It
good
stuck.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
It
It was
was
good.
a good friendship. You know, I
Yeah.
can't say anything bad about the friendship, but at a certain point in time, it was like the same thing. Obviously, like the problems that we had in our relationship kind of was brought into our friendship per se.
Right.
And
Because it was from the past. I mean, because you already went through that relationship to now bring it to a friendship, it's like
you can't, yeah, there's no going back.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like, once again, I don't want to put, you know, anybody out there or even my own business, but it's hard to go from a relationship to a friendship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be the same. You
Yeah.
know, she's a great person. I'm not going to sit here and bash her. We've had, you know, our falling out, but once you cross that line, there's no going back, you know. So from that, like, crossing that line from friendship going into a relationship back to a friendship,
Mm-hmm.
you just can't go back to that. Like, it's never going to be the same, you know. And I'm not going to sit here and bash her because, you know, it was good.
Yeah.
You know,
It was
do
good
we
for the time being.
yeah, do we still talk? No, but it's just, you know, we just had a falling out. And
I feel like sometimes it's kind of meant to be that way. I mean, knowing that someone is not meant to be in your life, but you kind of still allow it just because you want that person, I don't think that's gonna do anything.
yeah,
Like I know with friendships, I mean, not even just with that friend, like I would keep people around just because I didn't want to feel lonely.
yeah, and that
And
was another thing too.
yeah, that's so bad. That's such like a toxic
My
trait
fucking
that I
toes
feel
are
like
burning.
no free toe pics.
But as I was evolving my friendship with, you know, with the girl in the office that I became friends with,
Mm-hmm.
I just started to see that, like, I wanted more for myself.
Than
And
what you were already.
it's kind of crazy because more in a sense where I wanted a different change in my life, and maybe that felt like,
You
you
had
know,
to
out with the
change
old, in with
and
the new.
yeah.
So I was over that friendship
Mm-hmm.
already because it was the same thing. Even though there were good memories,
No, I get that.
it was kind of still the same thing. And, you know, I just wanted to reinvent myself and reinvent the wheel. And with
Mm-hmm.
that, I felt like that's also why that friendship kind of
Didn't last, and it just
didn't
had to
last.
go. Yeah,
Mhm.
I kind of relate to that. I feel like I do relate to that. I just can't pinpoint one scenario,
Mhm.
but that sounds very, very familiar. Just knowing that you want better and you feel like you kind of need to change everything in your life and literally like block out everyone that you have now and make other friends and meet new
Yeah,
people.
just like a whole new life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not realistic, but
Imagine you can just like
snap your fingers
yeah,
and
like just
hey,
pick
new
the
life.
new people you.
Yeah.
That would be funny. Now with obviously like we don't go out looking for friends, you know, it just happens, you know, within time. But let's say you were to meet a friend.
Mhm.
Do you want what traits would you want that friend to have or that person to have? Like, are you kind of looking at a checklist and seeing like which boxes you can check off? Like what
Like a
characteristic?
relationship?
No, literally. I mean, because a friendship is a relationship. It's just platonic. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
romantic going on. So with me, I know I definitely am looking for specific characteristics in people before I consider them a friend because
Mhm.
I'm looking at things for the future. I'm looking at things for the long run, not just, oh, you're my friend now. Like, I don't know if you're going to be for it later. You
Yeah.
never know what could happen. But that's why I want to ask you, what are you looking for in a friend?
Well, it's very different for me now because once again, I'm a mom, so I have
Hmm.
to also think about who I'm letting into my life as well as my son's life.
Yeah.
So I think with friendships and who I want to let in is more so, you know, being loyal, being like-minded,
Hmm.
not necessarily saying that you have to think exactly like me,
For sure.
but we have to have at least some values
In
in
common.
common,
Hmm.
because I'm thinking a certain way as a mother,
Hmm.
and
Of
someone
course.
that's way older. Like I'm gonna turn 27 this year. So I'm not thinking like a 15-year-old,
Hmm.
or not a 15-year-old, but
No, but
someone who's like constantly partying, or
hmm.
someone who's, you know, constantly in drama and being negative. Like
Hmm.
I want to have a friendship where it's based off of, growth, being there for each other. It's
Supporting.
not always going to be rainbows and fucking sunshine,
That's so bullshit.
but exactly. But, when shit hits the fan, I want you to know that I'm going to be there for you and that
For
you're there
sure.
for me.
Hmm.
And, you know, just someone that's going to do the work. So now with you asking me that question
Mm.
of what I pretty much look for in a person to establish a solid friendship,
Mhm.
what are some things that you want to like know that a person will have or values in order for that friendship to work?
Mhm. Um, I definitely want someone who is supportive for sure
Mhm.
because I know I'm a person. I know that with any friendship I've had, I've always been very supportive. Like I'm always going to motivate you to do the best that you can. So
Mhm.
I definitely want that to be reciprocated. I want someone, of course, who's loyal. I want someone to be honest to me. Like, if you have a problem with something that I'm doing, come up to me and tell me. Because
Mhm.
I don't like that lying shit where people just like hold things against you and they're not actually telling you what's going on. So
Right.
I would definitely want honesty. I would say values as well. Like I know I've done some not good stuff. I mean, I'm still a teenager now, but just, years ago with not valuing myself as a woman, valuing my body. So I definitely wouldn't want a friend who
Oh yeah,
is not on that timing and is just doesn't value themselves because
that's important.
I was on that before, but I'm not obviously now I'm in a relationship. So I'm not gonna have a friend who is not saying I'm never gonna have a friend who's single, but we know that women who are single
Act
act
differently.
differently. So I also don't want that to be an influence. Not that I'm going to be influenced, but you kind of know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So someone who obviously has like self respect, value. Milo, can you just come lay down here,
Hi, Milo. Thank you
please?
for joining us again. Come,
Yeah,
lay down.
for like the hundredth
Lay
time.
down. Lay down. Lots. Lay down. Down. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good
Good
boy.
job.
Good boy.
Good. Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Go. And another trait I would say is someone who is gonna reciprocate the same energy I give back. I don't know. I feel like I'm the not the only person, of course, but I feel like I put so much time and effort into actually like wanting a good friendship with somebody just because this person is not just going to be some random friend to me. Like
Mhm.
a friendship means a lot to me. So I know with past friends, like I even till this day, sometimes I feel like I go above and beyond for people, and I will do so much, and I don't get that back. I don't feel appreciated, and so that's why I'm like, okay, am I really gonna spend time on this friendship when they can't even give me the one thing that I've really ever wanted, which is just for energy to be reciprocated. Um, and yeah, I mean, there's a whole list of character traits I want my friends to have, but that's just one of them.
So, with talking about what we obviously want or qualities that we want to have in a person that we build a friendship with, I kind of want to ask the last question,
Hmm.
which is, why do you feel like friendships are necessary outside of your relationship?
That is a really good question. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that. They feel like when you're in a relationship, like you just, that person's your friend, that person's your everything. Like,
Yeah, like
which,
your go-to.
yeah, which of course, I mean, the person that you're with should be your best friend, should be the person you go to for everything. Cause I know I do that with my partner. But I have been saying this for so long. I mean, and me and my boyfriend now, we've always loved to seek we've always seeked for other friends because as much as we know, yes, we can go to each other for everything, but it's still good to have a social life outside of your
It's
partner.
healthy.
it,
Yeah.
it is healthy because it gives you both time to kind of separate and also have time to yourself, and just bond with other people.
Yeah.
So I do think it's really important, to answer your question, because exactly of those reasons, it's good to have a social life and find people that you can also build a relationship with outside of your relationship. And honestly, there's so many people that just get sucked into their relationship, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying I haven't done that because
We all are.
I sure have. I mean, I know I've done some maybe messed up shit with not leaving friends behind, but kind of stop hanging around with people because I felt like, I needed to just be with my partner all the time.
Hmm.
And obviously that's now not the case. I've realized like, okay, I can't do that. And my boyfriend is not my everything. Yes, obviously he's my
There.
partner. He's
Yeah.
there, but he's going to be there. But I have a whole life to live. I still need to have friends. I still need to meet new
And you
people.
just can't revolve it around him all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cause it just gets like boring. Like there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing exciting. Like
Yeah.
so. I mean, you can. Let me ask you that same question back. Like, do you think it's important? Do you have you done those things? Have you isolated
Oh,
yourself
absolutely.
in your relationship?
Yeah, I have. And I think we're all guilty of it because we get caught up in that honeymoon phase when we first start
Oh
dating
yeah,
someone. So we kind of, you know, neglect friendships. And with that in itself, that ends up in, your friendship falling out
yeah.
with someone that you have in your life,
Hmm.
and you just get into a relationship, that can cause a falling out because it's unfair to the other person.
For
You get
sure.
so self-absorbed.
Hmm.
But I think it's healthy and exciting to have friendships
It
outside
is
of your relationship, to experience things with, let's say if, for example, you have a friend that's a girl, you're gonna vibe differently than what you are vibing with
with your
your
boyfriend, or
boyfriend.
yeah, exactly.
Like you guys are gonna have girl talk. So
Hmm.
it's healthy to have a social life outside of your relationship. And I'm not saying that you can't talk to your partner about everything,
Yeah.
but some things you kind of just want to share with your girlfriend, like.
Definitely. Like literally, it wasn't actually, which is funny because the whole reason why I kind of wanted to even have this whole episode was because recently my boyfriend and I actually met this couple
Mhm.
and we've started to become friends with them.
Right.
And it's like we can have our time together with them, couple, like we're bonding. We can just do couple stuff,
Mhm.
double dates or whatever, but we can also have time separately. The boys can have their boys' time, the girls can
And
have
you
their
can hang
girls'
out,
time.
yeah.
And so I also like that as well because we can be together and we can
Have your girl
have
talk.
our girl talk. Um, which, obviously now it's still the beginning of the friendship. So of course there's things that I'm still cautious about, which is what we mentioned previously.
Mhm.
Going through those things in the past, it kind of has us more aware and kind of on our tippy toes of what people we want in our life. So that's just something that I'm gonna just have to wait and see what
Right.
happens. Which I feel you're kind of going through something similar as well. go into that too.
Um, Definitely it's the same, but it's very different because instead of me isolating myself because of a relationship, I had gone through a pregnancy where I kind of isolated myself
Mhm.
within that. Nobody knew until I announced it during the gender reveal.
Right.
And a big part of why I kind of isolated myself from, the friendship that I had built with my friend in the office is because I actually left the office.
Mhm.
So that within itself, we were bonding. We went from bonding almost every single day,
Right.
going to the gym, getting coffee together, and, just talking throughout the day. And eventually, like even sitting next to each other in the office,
Mhm.
to me leaving, finding out that I got pregnant, wanting to, you know, take my life more seriously
Mhm.
because right around the time that I ended up finding out that I was pregnant, I was actually going to take my fitness,
Yeah, the
very serious.
Mhm.
And around that time, not to like air out her business, uh, but she was on a different path.
Right.
She was kind of going out a little bit more, which there's nothing wrong with that.
No, of course not. It's
But,
just
when
not
you
what
have,
you
yeah,
want. It's not, you know.
at that time, it's not what I wanted to do, and then, slowly but surely, or later on, I ended up finding out that I got pregnant, and I couldn't go out. I
Of
couldn't,
course. You couldn't
be
party,
drinking
you couldn't.
tequila and stuff. So, um, with that being said, you know, and with that being said, like, um, we had a falling out, and I kind of reached out not too long ago because I saw her like kind of changing her life around, and I wanted to
Mhm.
congratulate her, and I was like, hey, like we should actually meet up. Or I think she said we should meet up.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
And I was
yeah.
open to it because I'm like, honestly, we're really good friends. She's a great person. We get along so well. So I genuinely wanted
You wanted to see if
to see if there was still something there. And,
Mhm.
we ended up catching up, for coffee and stuff. And I was honest about, the
Why.
intentions and why we kind of had a falling out.
Mhm.
Because I'm the type of person that I'm gonna tell you things exactly.
For sure, you're gonna be blunt. You're not
Yeah,
gonna
I'm not gonna
just
sugarcoat anything.
yeah.
And so, I told her like, "Hey, this is what was happening back then. This is why we had a falling out." And we both took accountability. I think that's super important when it comes to a
Oh
friendship, like,
yeah.
admitting where you are wrong and also them taking accountability for where they were wrong,
Yeah.
because that just means that you guys can be on the same page
And you
and
can
move
also
forward.
exactly, you can figure out what steps you're gonna do to move forward.
Exactly. So even though like I'm very cautious,
Mhm.
I'm still very open to, you know, making things work with friends and building
Definitely.
new relationships with,
Mhm.
friends.
Of course.
So,
Yeah, I like we said, there's things exactly the stories that we explained, which is why we're now very aware of the things that people are doing,
mhm.
especially when we want that person to be in our life. So no matter what, we're going to be cautious in a way where it's like, okay, do you kind of like that mental checklist that I mentioned, that doesn't mean that you have to be the exact same person as me,
Mhm.
but more so of, okay, do you have these values? Are we
Right.
the values that you have, the person that you have, are you going to add value to my life? Like, what are you doing that is going to change my life for the better, not for the worse, because we don't want people in our life that are going to drag us down.
And vice versa. You wouldn't want to have someone in your life that's going to drag you down. You
Exactly.
want someone to help you grow. You want someone to call you out in your bullshit. That is a real friend. A genuine friend is going to
Facts.
put you to the side and be like, "Hey, you know what? Like I feel like this is fucked up, or I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you can do better, or
For
whatever the case is." That
sure.
is what a genuine friend is.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's the type of people that you would want in your life. Someone who's going to
Exactly.
be ride or die, someone who's going to be genuine, someone who's going to be looking
Mm-hmm.
out for you, be your support system, but also you want that reciprocation.
Mm-hmm.
You are that for that person,
Mm-hmm.
or you be there for that person, but also that they're there
There
for
for you.
you, you
Exactly.
know?
You guys have
So,
each other's backs. And that's really what it is. It's honestly so hard to find that now because I feel like the generation kind of fucked up friends and people just not
people not even wanting to do the work.
exactly. Like you just
Yeah.
want a friend just to have a just so they can be there. Like that's not what a friend is supposed to do. Okay? Like
Yeah, like a friend is not a season. It doesn't come in and out. Like you
exactly.
friends are there to stay, and a lot of people, just like relationships, don't want to do the work, communicate and, you know,
Do that.
yeah.
Put in the extra time. Put in the overtime.
Clock
Literally.
in,
That is
clock
so
out, you know what I mean?
that is
So, it has been a very long episode.
a
Um
long day.
but, stay tuned for our next episode.
Next week. Yeah, guys, you definitely need to tune in for next week's episode. It's going to be crazy. But we thank you guys so much for tuning in. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to hit that post notifications button to be notified every time that we upload. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. And we will have actual cups of
Of
coffee
coffee.
this time. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.